All right, welcome back. I'm now being joined on the program by Professor Ishe Sagye, who is the chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Anti-Corruption. Now he joins us from another part of Lagos to continue this discussion we've been having all through the course of this program. Professor, thank you very much for joining us on the program. First, let me start by asking you, Prof, what exactly you make of the decision of the Senate now suspending the confirmation of nominees sent to it by the presidency over what it says is a refusal of the presidency to remove the acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission?
Well, it is clear to me that this Senate is not prepared to do its work by contributing to the development of this country through the laws it's going to make. Rather, it is more interested in killing the anti-corruption war because it feels threatened by Magu's presence in the EFCC. In fact, if I may put it simply, this Senate, not only just on the issue of corruption, on virtually every matter, has demonstrated total self-love and self-service and complete disinterest on Nigerians and in things that matter to them. They are there to serve themselves in every aspect of life. If you look at the budget, they pad it, increase it, and add it to their comforts. If you look at the recall process on Dino Melaye, they are now saying they themselves have to approve any recall matter before it can be done. In other words, they are making themselves permanently secure, regardless of how badly they are doing their jobs. So these are people who are just there for themselves and are thumbing their noses at Nigerians and really testing our patience as a nation, gobbling and consuming a huge chunk of our budget and acting against our interests. So, in fact, they are making a good case for abolishing the Senate. That's what I would say.
You must also admit that, this face-off, this seeming face-off between the National Assembly as a whole, in fact, and the presidency, is not good for our democracy. As a matter of fact, it's actually not good for the country at this moment when we should all keep our eyes on the ball, in terms of getting things to work economically. We're being forced to concentrate effort on this face-off.
Well, look, I'm never happy at somebody trying to be neutral. What does it mean of not good? We have only one bad party here, that's the Senate. The Senate is there to cause destruction and mayhem unless we allow them to take over this country, take over executive power, consume all our resources, and then eliminate those who want sanity and integrity in the country. And we say no. So don't say it's bad. Senate is bad, period. Say that. When you begin to say it's not good for the country, you are making it neutral. So it's as if both parties are to blame. There's only one party to blame. That is this very bad Senate, period.
Let me ask you what you make of the vice president's position. I mean, not quite long ago, the vice president did say that, in his own interpretation, it's actually not that the Constitution does not actually require that the name of the acting chairman or the Constitution does not require actually the Senate confirmation of whoever heads the EFCC. And of course, we saw some of the senators, especially the Senate, as a matter of fact, taking issues with that. But what's your own position on this?
Well, the vice president is absolutely right. The Section 171, 2D, I believe, has already made it clear that the president can appoint directly, can appoint non-departmental, the various departments that are not under ministries directly. So, one, the provision in the EFCC Act that requires Senate confirmation is illegal, unconstitutional, null and void. So anything done under it is completely a nullity. And so we are left with the constitutional provision which empowers the president to appoint the head of the EFCC directly and make him head, not even acting. That is the truth. And the Senate is not going to intimidate anybody. We are going to stand on the truth, insist on the truth, and if they want a face-off, so be it. But nobody is going to succumb to tantrums and illegal pressure just because they are afraid of the fight against corruption, just because they want to sabotage the fight against corruption. Nobody is going to tolerate it. We've had enough from them.
Another question I have to ask you, do you think this issue should be taken to probably the Supreme Court, for a clear interpretation?
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I think if the Senate is still arguing that the president doesn't have the power to appoint heads of these agencies directly, let them go to the Supreme Court and we'll meet them there. But I have no doubt in my mind. The provision is so clear, so direct, that the Supreme Court will have no choice but to admit that the head of the president can appoint people in all those agencies directly by himself without reference to Senate. So Senate has no powers in this regard. Let it face what it has power to do and stop looking for work and power and authority that is denied it by the law and by the Constitution.
And of course, there's no ambiguity as to whether the president can actually appoint someone in an acting capacity or even represent someone who has been refused by the Senate, who has been actually turned down by the Senate the first or even second time.
There's no ambiguity about that at all. Even if the president didn't have the power in Section 171, which we have discovered that he has, then his capacity and power to appoint an acting head of any of those agencies is not in doubt. I think the Senate should face its way and move on. On this matter, if they continue like this, there will be no difference. Magu is going nowhere, and they will lose.
I know, Prof, that your committee, of course, continues to maintain that that Magu has to be there. But let me ask you, why is it very important for you that Magu remains there and not a situation where the president can actually go and look for someone else? I mean, let's face it, if anything happened to Magu today, God forbid, we would still have to go and look for someone else to put in that position.
You see, when you have a man who is excellent for a position, a man who has demonstrated integrity, commitment, who has refused to be pressured into wavering, who is resolute, who shows a lot of not just commitment, but in fact determination to do his work without fear or favor. When you have that sort of man, a man who cannot be compromised, when you have him, you don't let him go easily. Yes, we are human beings. Anything can happen to him. Then if something happens to him, God forbid, then we are faced with a situation where we have to look for somebody else. But whilst he's alive and well, I think you'll be succumbing to the crooks and undesirable elements in our society to remove him so that they can just get on and loot everything that is left in this country and leave the rest of us in misery. Look at all the masses of young Nigerians who have no jobs. Look at what they are doing to our hospitals, our roads. Even the Badon-Lagos road is being deprived of completion. Look at all the harm these people are doing to this country. Our answer to them is Magu, and Magu is going to be there.
And the budget, let's even talk about that. I mean, we can see the face-off between the Minister of Works and, of course, the National Assembly as a whole. I mean, you heard, for instance, what some of the senators said about the minister. But this whole budget thing, what exactly is your position? Does the National Assembly actually have the powers to amend the budget? And if it does it also have the powers to introduce new items into the budget, as the minister is now alleging?
Absolutely not. The duty, if you look at the Constitution and at the whole political basis of relationship between the various arms of government, it is the duty of the executive to implement the law. It is their duty to actually carry out the daily acts of governance, whereas it is the duty of the National Assembly to make laws which will be implemented by the executive. What is happening now is that when the executive proposes a budget, a lot of research goes into it. A lot of input comes from various quarters. What are the things that are needed to push this country forward? Where are we going to get the funds? They have to do all that. It's a massive amount of work. That's why you have the budget office. When all that has been done for a whole year involving thousands of people, when all those inputs have been made and a budget has been prepared based on knowledge and information from all this research, we have a situation in which an organization, the legislature, which is just there to approve or question some of the provisions, in the sense that they may feel that the prices put on various activities are too high, it should be lowered, or they should ask questions to get clarification. When instead of doing that, they turn themselves into another budget office, introducing new projects of their own, transferring money from one head to the other, increasing the budget without stating how that increase, that extra money is going to be obtained, then they are going way out of their authority. So they have no right to introduce any new projects at all or remove money from one project to the other. They don't have that power to do that. It is illegal.
One more thing I want to ask you, Prof. You did allude to, when you were speaking earlier, you did allude to the recall process on Senator Dino Melaye. Of course, you know what the Senate has said about that, and that is quite shocking to a lot of people when the Senate says, well, that INEC may just be wasting its time because it has the final say on this. Is that actually the position of the Constitution? And let me quickly add another question. What you make of that court, the court ruling just recently now asking that the status quo be maintained. There seems to be some kind of confusion as to what the court meant by the status quo should be maintained on the recall process.
Yes, on the first issue, this new provision that nobody was aware of, that the Senate just announced, exists. In other words, that their stamp of approval is required for a recall process to succeed, effectively kills the recall process. It means that recall provision is no longer in the Constitution. It has been destroyed. Because knowing the type of people we have, there's no way that they are not going to be an obstacle. In fact, that's a mild word to use. There's no way they are not going to abruptly put an end to any process that involves one of them. It will become an esprit de corps, support for each other, rather than allowing the process to take place. So that particular provision they are talking about is one that should be taken to court for interpretation, whether it's not illegal and unconstitutional, when you consider the whole purpose of a recall. That is that. As for the judgment, the ruling saying that status quo should be maintained, yes, I must say it is open to various interpretations. It could mean stop everything you are doing. It could mean continue with what you are doing. It's not clear. It's not clear at all. That's why everybody is claiming victory. The INEC is continuing because the status quo, as far as INEC is concerned, is the recall process, which it was already involved in. So if you say status quo should be maintained, it means carry on with the recall process. But the other side is saying it means stop everything. So the court may have to reinterpret its own ruling for us to be clearly aware or have a clear knowledge of exactly what it means.
Finally, Prof, before I let you go, one more question, please. The decision, that judgment of the court that the list of looters should be published, and then the government saying it is going to go ahead to publish the list of looters. What do you make of that? Because some people have said, well, that could maybe not be completely correct, legally speaking, in the sense that some of the cases of these looters are actually in court.
Well, what that provision really, that decision really requires is that money that has actually been recovered, all those monies that were stored in private houses, in soakaways, in bathrooms, all those things should be brought out. The amount should be announced, the amount recovered should be announced, and the names of those from whom it was recovered should be announced. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, as Professor Shofison has said, and I agree entirely with him, the money recovered, the money that was looted is not anonymous. Therefore, the names of those who looted it should not be anonymous. I think Nigerians should know the people who are bringing down our economy, those who are making it impossible for us to fund essential activities like roads, clinics and hospitals, making it impossible for us to create jobs and get our youths employed. Those who in effect are running this country aground, let them be known. So that if we see them flying off in their jet, we know that that jet belongs to us. If we see them in their exotic cars, we know those cars belong to us. It is very, very good that they should be exposed. Let them be shamed so that they should pay a price for the way they are destroying this country by their looting and other acts of depredation.
Do you think we're actually winning the fight against corruption in this country?
Yes, I believe so. What people are looking at is only the cases being brought in court to charge people for corruption and so on. But the fight is taking place at many levels. Recoveries are being made. Monies that are found for which nobody can explain how it was acquired are being seized, being forfeited. Properties are being forfeited all over the country. Houses that are unoccupied, for which nobody is prepared to come forward and say, of which no one is prepared to say it belongs to me, are being seized. In fact, government is occupying some of them as offices. So a lot of money is being accumulated. There has been some convictions, but although far less than we had hoped. But with time, there will be more and more convictions. And there are certain things that are happening that people are not aware of. For example, you will never hear of subsidy scam again. As at the time this government came to power, we were having subsidy scam of more than 2 trillion naira a year. Now, it's gone completely because nobody does it anymore because of this government. So the question of some boat somewhere in Jamaica claiming that it is discharging petroleum products in Lagos. It's gone. They fooled us so long, stole a lot of money from the treasury, and this government has come and put a stop to it. So if you take a total, make a total consideration of all that is happening now, by and large, the war against corruption is being won because we have stopped so many things. Where we are now, that people are very conscious of, is to criminally punish those who have been caught. That aspect is having an initial difficulty, but it shall be overcome later. But by and large, it's been a successful journey so far.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Ishe Sage, Chairman of the Presidential Advisory Council on Anti-Corruption. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on the program. Well, that was Professor Ishe Sage, Chairman of the Presidential Advisory Council now on Anti-Corruption. And that's it on the program. We thank you very much for watching. If you want to see the program again, it's just simple. Just go to our website. It's tv360nigeria.com. Do subscribe to get the latest videos and updates. You can also actually watch us on YouTube. Our address is youtube.com/tv360nigeria. Of course, you can get this video there and lots more. On Google Plus, it's at tv360nigeria. And you can like us on Facebook. The address is facebook.com/tv360online. You can also follow us on Twitter as well. Our handle is at tv360nigeria. And of course, continue to stay tuned, of course, to this channel so that you can continue to get the best on news and current affairs around the country. So thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next week.